I think my machine is out of time. Hi, I'm Richard with Sewing Machine Tips and Tricks, and that is a phrase that I hear a lot. Talking to people on the phone, text messages, online, and what I have found is only about 5 to 10% of the time is that actually true. Is a machine actually out of time? So I'm creating a series that is going to show you, number one, how to check your machine and see if it is really out of time or not. This is going to be an ongoing series, and as I'm able to, I will be making videos on miscellaneous machines, showing you how to set the timing on those machines. The first few videos are going to be on how to check the timing and see if in fact it is out of time or not. So this one that I have right here is a Singer, and it's a front load bobbin. And so I'm going to do 3 of them on how to check the timing, and it's going to be on front load bobbins, side load bobbins, and top load bobbins. Once you understand that, then it's a lot easier. So far as setting the time, every machine is different. Every machine is 100% different if your machine is out of time. So I'm going to show you on this Singer how to check a front load bobbin. But before we do that, I've got a question for you. Are you having problems where you think that your machine's out of time? Let me know, and let me know what machine it is you think that you believe that is out of time. Put that in the comments as well. If you would like to get notifications every time I put one of the videos out in this timing series, I've got a link down below. You can click on that and you can give me your name and email. And every time I put one of these videos out, I will email you and let you know that. Actually, I'll email you in advance and let you know it's coming out, so that you can watch it. It'll be available for you to see at the time that I email you, but it won't actually be live on my YouTube channel yet. So if you'd like to get notifications every time I'm putting one of these out, then click the link below and give me your name and email address. I'm not going to send you a bunch of crazy stuff. It's just simply so that I can send you an email so that you know when another video in this series is coming out. All right? All right, so with that, we're going to get started, and I'm going to show you how to check the timing on this machine. And if your machine's not out of time, some of the things to look for, what might give you the illusion that your machine is possibly out of time. All right, here we go. All right, so here we are. Now again, this is a Singer. Don't get caught up on the brand. Don't get caught up on the model. Okay. What you want to look at is whether it is a front load bobbin or not. Okay. This is a front load bobbin. If your machine is a front load bobbin, then this is going to pertain to you. All right. So first thing, if you have anything right here in the front, like this little box, take that off. Then you're going to want to take your plate off, or whatever type plate that you have. Okay. I've got all these screws loose already. So we're going to take that off. Now, we have to have a needle, all right, but we want the foot off because we need to be able to see, and especially with me making the video, and don't do what I just did and drop this down in there. I've got something here I think I can get it out with. There we go. All right, and so you want to take your foot off, all right, get that completely out of the way. Open this up, okay, and then let's get some light on the subject here. All right, we're going to take the bobbin case out. All right, just like this. Now, you're going to have this retaining ring, and you're going to have your hook in there, okay? That you want. You might take the retaining ring out. In fact, you know what? I think we will to help you be able to see this. The main thing is that you be able to see what's going on. So it's up to you whether you take the retaining ring out or not. But when we do, this hook's going to try to fall out. So maybe I will just lay this machine back on its back. Okay, so I've changed up how I was doing this a little bit. I was going to lay it on its back, lay the machine on its back, and do the video that way, but I was having a hard time really getting good video of it. I think I have got it figured out so I can get the best possible video so that you can get the best picture. I've taken the bottom off. You don't have to do this on your machine. I've done it just to get this door out of the way so that I can get a better camera view in here. Make sure you'll probably need to take your plate off, get your foot out of the way and stuff. And now I'm going to remove this retainer, hook retaining ring. Okay, and again, you may or may not have to remove that. I'm removing it to make sure that you get a good view of the machine and exactly how to time it. So let's go over a couple of things. This is obviously a front-loading bobbin, and it's also an oscillating hook. That makes a little bit of difference. Overall, in the large scheme of things, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but it does make a little bit. Okay, let's just go over this. This is what's called your hook. This point is the actual hook, and this is what grabs the thread and loops it around your bobbin thread. Okay, very important. Now I'm going to go over a couple of things. If you have any damage on this hook whatsoever, anywhere around here, here, if this hook, if the point of the hook is dull, or if it's got little barbs on it, it all needs to be repaired because it can cause you problems. Any damage down here, underneath here, or down here can cause you problems. It can cause the thread to slow down, to get stuck. Anything sharp in these areas can cut your thread or cause it to fray. Okay, now I'm going to put this back in here and I'm going to show you proper timing on this. Okay, so I've got the timing set, or the needle set, so that it's right in the center. And the way a machine actually makes a stitch is the needle comes down just like that. Okay, this is very important. You have a cutout right here on, let's zoom in here. You have a cutout on your hook. Okay, your needle falls into that cutout and then falls in there. All right, now I want you to take notice. Let me get some more light in here. I want you to take notice of the needle, where it's at, and where the point of that hook's at. Okay, now the hook starts coming back. You notice the needle's coming up, and right there, if I can get the right light in here, there we go. Okay, you notice that the hook of the needle, or the hook, is passing through what's called the scarf of the needle. If you don't know what the scarf is, that's the little indentation on the back of the needle just above the eye. The hook has to pass within that scarf. Now, we've got this set in the center, and when the needle is set in the center, that's pretty much how it looks, okay? And so your machine's in time. Now, if you do it, if you're sewing a straight stitch and it does fine, but then you go to a zigzag, especially if it's a wide zigzag, and you're skipping stitches, and if you're doing zigzag and you're skipping stitches, you need to pay attention. Normally you'll skip on the same side. Normally it won't skip from side to side. Okay, usually it will skip on one side or the other. And when that happens, it's because even though you're in time with a straight stitch, you're not completely in time. Okay, and so what you want to do at this point, if this looks good, all right, so your needle started to go up and your hook's coming around and it is falling about the center of what's called the scarf. If you'll turn your needle around, you'll see that. Okay, and I'll get a needle here in a minute and show it to you. But your hook is falling about the center of the scarf when your needle position is in the center of the actual stitch, which this one is. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this and finish the stitch, or finish the revolution, and I'm going to set this on a zigzag. Okay, I'm going to go the widest possible zigzag. All right, now I want you to notice here it's coming back down. Now notice that I believe you can see the difference. In fact, I will show you. The needle is on the left hand side. Okay, so let's turn this back. You see the needle move, right? And actually that needle's not moving the way it should. But okay, there we are. So now we are on the widest possible zigzag, okay? And that hook is still, the needle's still starting to come up, and the hook passes through the scarf, but now it's more toward the top of the scarf, right? But it's still in the scarf. So if the timing isn't exactly right, your hook could be coming in too early, and it could be passing above the scarf. The needle needs to start up, because when it starts up, it actually throws a small loop in the thread back behind so it can grab it. Okay, now as you finish that stitch and the needle comes back down, now you're on the other side. Okay, now you're on the right side of the zigzag. Needle starts up. Now do you see where the hook's coming in at? You're coming into that scarf right at the very bottom of that scarf. Okay, the hook's coming behind the needle right at the very bottom of that scarf, and that's what it's supposed to be doing. If you're running too late, if that hook's coming too late, it's actually not going to come in till like there or further, or maybe even further, and so you'll miss it. If you miss that scarf, then you're going to miss a thread, which causes skips. Okay, so that's kind of what you're looking for. You want to make sure that when you're on the right side, or when you're on the left side of the zigzag, you are at the very top of that scarf, and when you're on the right side of the zigzag, you're at the very bottom of that scarf. And again, I'm talking about when the hook passes behind the needle. Okay, let me get a needle here and let's have a look at it. Right here is the top of the scarf. Okay, little indentation in the needle. That is the top of your scarf. You come down, this is the bottom of the scarf right here. Okay, I hope you can see that. I think you can. That, when this is what I'm talking about, this is where the hook has to pass in this area. If it passes right up here, or if it passes down here, okay, then your machine's out of time, and you're going to know that because it's going to be skipping stitches. Okay, so, and then of course when you've got your needle in the center, The hook's going to pass through right about the center of your scarf. All right. Now, different machines are a little bit different. Sometimes they'll seem like the scarf is really huge. So far as from left to right, there's not a huge difference in where the hook hits. Other ones, it'll be like, oh my God, it's really hard to get within the scarf, get the hook within the scarf as you go from left to right. So different machines are different, and each one has to be set to accommodate the way it's been manufactured, right? Let me know in the comments if you understand what I'm saying, if it makes sense, or if you've got any questions. I just want to make sure that you see that you can see that scarf there, which is a cutout, and that you understand that the hook at all times, regardless, has to pass through that, and the needle has to be on the upstroke. It has to be coming up. It can't be going down. It has to be coming up. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to have problems. And I just want to point out on this needle. Okay? Now, there are a variety of different needles for a variety of different machines. The standard universal needle that fits most machines has a flat spot, okay? And any needle that has a flat spot on it, that's the back, and that scarf is the back, okay? I hope that makes sense. So that is always the back of the needle. That makes, if you can see it, there is a groove down the front of this needle, okay? All needles have it. That makes this the front of the needle. Okay, you see a needle and it has a groove that runs all the way down it. That's the front of your needle. And then the back is where the scarf is. Your thread always threads from front to back. Okay, so from the groove that goes up and down to the scarf, it always comes out the scarf side. Very important to understand that scarf always, regardless of how the hook sets, that scarf always faces the hook. Regardless of how it all works, that scarf faces the hook. Okay, a lot of times I have people bring machines to me, and or they will talk to me online, and they will tell me that every time instead of making a stitch, that it's unthreading the needle. All right, so normally what's happening is they have the needle threaded wrong. So in this case, if that was happening, the way this is supposed to be threaded, the way this machine is supposed to be threaded is the thread goes, let me drop this down a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you can see the eye. All right. The thread goes from the front to the back. And that's pretty standard, and it's pretty easy to figure that out. But there are machines that thread from the left to the right and from the right to the left. And so you've got to be able to figure out how everything works. So the first thing being is to understand that the scarf always faces the hook, because the hook has to pass through the scarf. Okay? Then understand that the needle always threads from the front of the needle to the back of the needle, regardless of how it's sitting. It threads from where the groove is, right here, into the scarf. So now, when I say someone's threaded the machine backwards, and on this machine it really doesn't happen. It normally happens when it's being threaded from left to right or right to left, and people are threading it wrong. But if I were to put the thread from the back to the front, and then I went to sew, what would happen, okay, this would come down, and that would actually grab the thread where it came through going this way, and so as it came back up, it would pull the thread out of the needle rather than making a stitch. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if I'm making sense and you're understanding what I'm saying. Okay, so usually, just remember that usually if every time you try to sew and your needle comes unthreaded, that you probably have the thread running the wrong way. You probably have it threaded backwards. And then you just need to look and see which way the needle is supposed to be facing, whether frontward, backward, left, or right. Okay, remembering that the scarf always faces the hook, and then the needle threads from the front of the needle to the back of the needle. I know that's kind of hard to understand. I hope you do understand it, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments. But again, just to go over this with you, where the groove is always the front. Where the scarf is always the back. No exceptions to that. There are no exceptions to that. That's the way the needle is made. Okay? Other problems that I see where people are, where the machine is skipping stitches or not picking up the thread, is the needle's put in improperly. In other words, so this needle, I could turn this needle around backwards so the scarf is facing me, which is wrong. And there's a good chance that now that it's turned backwards, that it's not going to sew. And different machines work differently. There are some that you can put the needle in backwards and it will continue to sew fine, just you'll have little issues here and there. There are others that if you put that needle in backwards, it absolutely will not sew. And then some, it'll just skip. Every machine's different. And so that's what you need to check. If your machine is skipping stitches or if it's not picking up the thread, double check to make sure that your needle is in properly first. Then, once you establish that it is properly in, then check your timing. Okay, just like I explained here, making sure that that hook falls within the scarf. And then if it's, for the most part, sewing right, but then on your zigzags it's skipping on the left or the right, then put it on zigzag and check both the left and the right. Make sure that your hook is falling within the scarf as it passes behind the needle. Absolutely imperative. The other thing that can cause a machine to skip, okay, so the needle has the scarf, right? Whoop, here we are. The needle has the scarf. Well, you know, that scarf is there so that the needle can pass through the scarf. So theoretically, if that's what it's supposed to be doing, then if it's out of time or the needle's dropped down too far, whatever, then the hook and the hook is passing by either too high or too low, then the hook's actually going to hit the needle. And normally they do, and you'll hear clicking. Every time it goes by, you'll hear click, 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 click as the hook hits it. So the hook, what I'm getting at is the hook has to be close enough to the needle that if for whatever reason the tip of the hook is not falling within that scarf, it actually hits the needle. So if it's not that close, if it's not close enough to do that, now on some of the older machines, they are made so it doesn't have to. I can't explain it. I cannot explain to you why that is, but it is, okay? But if you check everything else and everything else looks right, then what you want to check is the hook needle clearance, which means how close is the hook to the needle? Is it close enough that that hook is actually going through that scarf, or is it far enough away that it's outside the scarf area? So there's, in other words, if I can do this, when it's operating correctly, you know, the hook as it comes through should just almost be touching here, just almost touch the needle. So if it were to come up here, it actually hit it. But sometimes your needle will be too far away, and so the hook comes this far away from it. And so no matter what, I mean, the distance, it's just way too far off. And so what's happening is the hook can't grab the thread because it's too far away from the thread. I hope you're understanding that. Let me see if I can reposition this and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm holding, I've got the machine turned around backwards. I'm actually holding the camera with my hand, so it's probably a little jumpy, I'm sorry. But you can see the hook right there, and you can see that it is, I mean, just like touching the needle, right? So that's kind of normally what you're looking for. Okay, I don't think I can get a better view than that on it. Yeah, I can't get a better view than that. But you can see what I'm talking about. This machine's a little dirty, I'm sorry about that. But you can see, and I can actually see a little imperfection in that hook right there too that I need to clean up right at the tip of it now that I've got the camera like this. I didn't see it before. But you can see how close that is, right? So if that hook is too far away, it's going to miss the thread. And so then if it misses the thread, you're not going to make a stitch. So this is something else to take into consideration. If everything else looks right and it's falling within the hook is passing by the back of the needle where it should and everything, but it's still not making a stitch, how far away from the needle is the hook? Okay, this could be the problem. And I can't cover that on this video, but that would have to be fixed on usually up toward the top of the needle. So you'd have to take the cover, open the cover, take the cover off or whatever, as per your machine, and look to see how to set that hook needle clearance, which again usually happens at the very top of your needle bar area. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions on this. And then one other thing that I see, and we'll go over it in just a second. Let me reposition everything. Okay, so I got everything back here like it was. But the other thing that I see is the needle is not not properly installed. In other words, it's not far enough up into the needle bar. I'll usually take a pair of needle nose pliers or whatever and grab a hold of this while the needle bar screw is loose and just push up real good. Usually, let's see if we can see this. Usually on most needle bars, there you can see the stop. And you can see it on this one. I'm going to point it out. Right here is your needle bar stop. Right, my camera's focusing on my hand because it's so dang big. Right there is the needle, the top of the needle. Okay, can you see that? You can see a little bit of shiny in there. That's the top of the needle. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can loosen this up, and I want you to watch. My hands are too big. I gotta turn this a little bit. Okay. See it move? Okay. Your needle has to hit the stop. Okay, sometimes you can get dried oil in there, you can get lint, you can get a bunch of stuff in there, and it can make it hard to move the needle. There's a lot of reasons why a needle can be hard to get pushed up properly where it goes. And it's, again, depends on the machine. Different machines, depending on how tight it is, different reasons why it might not be pushing up in there properly. Now, this stop, again, on different machines will be in different places. I have seen a few machines where you cannot see it. Some machines, there's just a small hole where you look through. It could be the area where you see it could be on the right, it could be on the left over here, or it could actually even be on the back of the machine. Okay, you want to make sure that needle is going all the way up and hitting whatever stops there. It's really hard to see in this, but it is the very flat top of the flat part of that needle is going up and hitting that stop. And so it's important to make sure that needle is all the way in. If it's not, if it's a little bit too low, then just by the needle being too low, that means that your timing is off. Now, it's not off due to the machine, something being wrong with the machine. It's off because the needle is not properly installed. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you're having any other problems down in the comments. I think I've covered everything to look for when it comes to timing and when it comes to checking to see if your machine is out of time. Usually on these oscillating hooks, most of the time, they don't usually get out of time just because the way they're made. They don't normally get out of time. I have seen a few of them. I've seen, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them that have been out of time. But it is a very rare occurrence. Usually the ones that get out of time are the ones that the hooks do full circles, whether it's top loading bobbin, side loading, or front loading. There are some front loaders where your hooks do complete circles. It's not very common. You don't see them often, but they are out there. Normally on your front loaders, your hook is an oscillating hook. Okay. Now, again, this is the first video in a series of videos that I'm doing on timing, and I'll be going over the front loading bobbin, and then I'll be going over the top loading bobbin on my next 2 videos. Then I'm going to start getting into specific machines. As I get machines in that need to be timed, that have timing issues, I'm going to be videoing them and showing you what I find and how I'm getting them timed and why. Okay? If a machine's out of time, it is very, very important to figure out why it's out of time. Absolutely important, because if you time it the wrong way, then you have created a bigger problem. In fact, you know what? That just reminded me of something that happens somewhat often and can be a huge issue. And it will affect your timing, but not in the same way. And that is, if you're sewing through stuff that is really, really thick, and especially if you have a dull needle, if your needle has gotten dulled, has barbs on it or whatever, the amount of pressure that it takes to go through that thick material, especially with a bad needle, can actually push your needle bar up. Okay? I've seen this quite a few times actually. It will actually push your needle bar up. And now your machine's out of time, but it's not due to this. It's due to the needle bar being pushed up. So that's something else that you have to take into account. That's something else that you have to check. Is your needle coming far enough down? Is your needle coming far enough down to even remotely possibly be able to be timed? If you start messing with the hook timing and it's a needle bar problem, then you're really going to have an issue trying to get it back in time. So it's absolutely imperative to identify why the machine is out of time and then retime it as per the problem. Not just, well, I think I can do this, okay? Let me know if you have any questions, okay? And again, I've got a link down below. If you would like to know when the next video in this series is coming out, then hit that link, give me your name and email, and when I upload the next video before it actually goes live, you'll be able to see it. Okay, it'll be on YouTube, but without the link you won't be able to see it. And I'll have it up there a few days before it goes live, and you'll be one of the first ones to get to see it, and make sure that you don't miss it. All right, y'all have a great day, and thank you for watching.